The anomaly. Dr. Vexhari Thornweave adjusted the bioscanner's crystalline interface with 3 of her 6 fingers, her compound eyes narrowing as the display flickered erratically. In her 30 standard cycles serving as chief medical officer aboard the Meridian's Hope, the massive intergalactic hospital ship, she had examined over 4,000 species. Nothing, absolutely nothing, had ever made her equipment malfunction like this. "Run the diagnostic again," she commanded her assistant, a young Quillariae named Mostender Brightpool. Mostender's translucent blue skin rippled with concern as his tendrils danced across the secondary console. "Ma'am, I've run it 6 times. The scanner is functioning perfectly. It's the patient that's wrong." Vexhari's mandibles clicked in irritation. 20 minutes ago, a damaged shuttle had been tractored into Bay 7. The vessel was primitive, cobbled together from what appeared to be scavenged parts and held together with sheer audacity. Its distress beacon had been broadcasting in an unknown language until their translation matrix finally cracked the code. Terran Common from a planet called Earth. The sole occupant, now lying unconscious on the med table, was unlike anything in the galactic medical database. The creature, human according to the translation, appeared almost comically fragile. Soft skin, no protective carapace, no natural weaponry, no redundant organs that the scanner could detect. Yet somehow this being had survived what should have been a catastrophic shuttle failure. "Vital signs?" Vexhari demanded. Mostender's voice trembled. "Core temperature, 310.15 Kelvin. That's almost hot enough to denature proteins. Doctor, if these readings are accurate, this creature's blood should be boiling." Vexhari moved closer to the human. It was breathing, she could see the chest rising and falling. But the respiratory rate seemed impossibly slow, only 16 cycles per minute. Most sentient species required at least 40 to maintain consciousness. "Circulatory system?" she pressed. "That's where it gets truly bizarre." Mostender pulled up a holographic display of the human's cardiovascular system. "Single heart, only one doctor, pumping a fluid that appears to be iron-based. The pressure differential is enormous. The pump generates enough force to circulate fluid through nearly 100,000 kilometers of vessels. In a body less than 2 meters tall." Vexhari felt her respiratory spiracles flutter, the Etherean equivalent of a sharp intake of breath. "That's impossible. The sheer forces alone would tear the vessels apart. The heart muscle would exhaust itself in minutes. And yet," Mostender gestured at the steadily beeping monitor, "it beats 72 times per minute. Continuously. Without rest." The human stirred and Vexhari instinctively stepped back. Its eyes, forward-facing, predatory placement, flickered open. They were an unusual shade, somewhere between brown and green, and they tracked her movement with disturbing clarity. "Where?" The human's voice was rough, the translator struggling with the tonal variations. "Where am I?" "You are aboard the Meridian's Hope," Vexhari said, keeping her voice level despite her racing thoughts. "I am Dr. Vexhari Thornweave. You were rescued from your failing vessel. What is your designation?" The human tried to sit up, and Vexhari noticed the way its muscles moved beneath that impossibly thin skin. The creature possessed significant strength despite its soft appearance. "Commander Zara Castellanos," the human said, managing to prop itself on its elbows. "Earth Exploration Corps. My ship took damage in an asteroid field. I've been drifting for, how long?" "Approximately 43 standard hours," Mostender offered, his tendrils twitching nervously. Zara's eyes widened. 43 hours? My life support should have failed after 12. The backup oxygen was compromised. Vexhari's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Commander Castellanos, I need you to remain calm. Your biology is unprecedented. We're trying to understand what we're seeing, but your vital signs appear to be simultaneously indicating health and impossibility." Zara looked down at herself, then at the monitors. "What's wrong with my vitals?" "Everything," Vexhari said bluntly. "Your core temperature would kill any other species. Your heart operates on principles that should be mechanically impossible. Your blood pressure would rupture vessels in 97% of known sentient beings. Your cellular respiration produces what appears to be controlled oxidative stress that should cause systemic damage, yet your cells are regenerating faster than they're dying." The human actually laughed, a short, sharp sound that made both doctors flinch. "Doc, I appreciate the concern, but I feel fine. Little hungry maybe. Slight headache. That's about it." "You survived 43 hours in a failing life support system," Mostender blurted out. "Without adequate oxygen. that should have caused irreversible brain damage within minutes. Zara shrugged, a peculiar gesture that involved raising and lowering her shoulders. Yeah, it got pretty rough there. I went into a sort of low-power mode. Slowed my breathing, reduced my heart rate. Meditation technique they taught us in survival training. Vexhari felt the room spinning. You can consciously control your autonomous biological functions? To a degree, yeah. Can't you? No. Vexhari's voice rose higher than she intended. That's not how biology works. But as she stared at the human, at Zara Castellanos with her impossible vital signs and casual dismissal of what should be fatal conditions, Vexhari Thornweave realized that perhaps she didn't understand biology quite as well as she thought. The test. Vexhari had assembled her best team. Around the observation room stood Dr. Krelnax Ironspire, the station's premier xenobiologist whose rock-like carapace had earned him his surname, Dr. Lissa Moonwhisper, a Felinian psychophysiologist with keen insights into consciousness and neural function, and Chief Botanist Oren Skybloom, whose expertise in carbon-based life chemistry was unmatched in this sector. Through the transparent aluminum, they watched Zara Castellanos complete what the human called basic exercises. She's been doing this for 23 minutes, Krelnax rumbled, his voice like grinding stones. Without stopping. Zara was engaged in a repetitive motion, lowering her body toward the floor and pushing back up using only her arms. The human had called them push-ups. She'd completed 217 so far. Her muscles should be flooding with lactic acid, Lissa murmured, her feline ears flattened against her skull in confusion. The burning sensation should be unbearable. Oh, she feels it, Oren said, adjusting his spectral analyzer. Look at her facial expression. She's experiencing pain. She's just continuing anyway. Vexhari made rapid notes on her datapad. Since Zara had awakened 6 hours ago, every test had revealed new impossibilities. The human's muscle tissue could operate anaerobically for extended periods. Her skeletal structure, while appearing fragile, was reinforced with calcium deposits that made it surprisingly resilient. Most disturbing, her brain consumed 20% of her body's energy while accounting for only 2% of her mass. Commander Castellanos, Vexhari spoke through the intercom, you may stop now. Zara completed one more push-up before springing to her feet with alarming agility. She wasn't even breathing heavily. What's next, Doc? We need to understand your pain tolerance, Vexhari said carefully. Would you consent to controlled stimulus testing? You want to see how much pain I can take? Zara's mouth curved into what the database indicated was a smile. Sure, why not? What followed made Vexhari question her entire medical education. They started with thermal tolerance. Zara could withstand temperatures ranging from 275 Kelvin to 320 Kelvin without significant distress. She described the sensations as chilly and hot, but not unbearable. My homeworld has diverse climates, Zara explained, sitting calmly in the testing chamber as the temperature fluctuated. Humans have adapted to everything from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. We're persistence hunters. We evolved to just keep going when other predators had to stop. Persistence hunters? Lissa leaned forward. You hunted by outlasting your prey? Our ancestors did. We're not as fast as most predators, but we can maintain a steady pace for hours. Days even. We'd track an animal until it literally collapsed from exhaustion, then make the kill. Krelnax's rocky hide actually paled. That's horrifying. That's evolution, Zara replied cheerfully. The pressure tests were equally revealing. Zara's body could withstand significant compression and tension forces. Her pain threshold was approximately 3 times higher than the galactic average for sentient species. But it was the healing test that made Vexhari scream. We'll make a small incision, Vexhari explained, to observe your clotting factors and healing response. Zara nodded consent. Moss Tender made a precise cut, exactly 5 millimeters deep on Zara's forearm. Blood, that iron-based, oxygen-carrying fluid, welled immediately. But within seconds the bleeding slowed. Within 2 minutes it had stopped entirely. A biological matrix was already forming over the wound. Impossible. Vexhari's voice cracked. That's cellular regeneration is happening in real time. Yeah, we heal pretty fast, Zara said, examining the cut with mild interest. Small stuff like this, maybe a week to fully heal. Broken bones take 6 to 8 weeks. We can even regenerate some organs like the liver. You can regenerate organs? Oren's leaves rustled in agitation. Voluntarily? Well, not voluntarily. Just happens. The body does it automatically. Vexhari was frantically scanning the wound. Zara's white blood cells, her immune response, were already attacking any potential pathogens. Her platelets had formed a plug. Fibroblasts were migrating to begin tissue reconstruction. How do you defend against infection with such porous skin? Lissa asked. We have an immune system. It's pretty aggressive actually. Can sometimes be too aggressive. We get these things called autoimmune diseases where the system attacks our own tissue by mistake. Your body attacks itself? Krelnak sounded horrified. Sometimes. We've got medicine for it. Zara shrugged again, that peculiar gesture. Look, I get that we're weird to you, but I'm telling you, humans are pretty standard where I come from. We're not even the toughest Earth species. You should see a tardigrade or a crocodile. There are tougher species on your planet? Mostender's voice was faint. Way tougher. There are animals that can survive being frozen solid or boiled or thrown into the vacuum of space. There are plants that can eat animals. There are fungi that can break down radiation. Earth is kind of a nightmare if you're not adapted to it. Vexhari sat down heavily, her legs suddenly unable to support her. Commander Castellanos, I need you to understand something. In the known galaxy, there are approximately 12,000 cataloged sentient species. None, absolutely none, approach the biological resilience you're displaying. You are a medical impossibility that's somehow walking, talking, and doing push-ups in my medical bay. Zara's expression grew thoughtful. Doc, where are you from? What's your homeworld like? Etheria Prime. Gravity 0.63 standard. Atmospheric pressure 0.8 standard. Temperature range, 288 to 298 Kelvin. It's a gentle world. Stable. And most species come from similar worlds? Yes. The galactic norm favors stable, hospitable environments. Zara nodded slowly. Earth's gravity is one standard. I'm guessing that's based on an average? Our atmospheric pressure varies wildly by altitude and weather. Our temperature range spans from 184 Kelvin at the poles to 331 Kelvin in the deserts. We have storms that can flatten buildings. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Volcanoes that blot out the sun. Predators everywhere, in the water, on land, in the air. Even our plants have evolved chemical defenses that can kill. The medical team stared at her in silence. Doctor, Zara said quietly, humans aren't impossible. We're just from a world that tried really, really hard to kill us. And we refused to die. The database. Vexhari spent the next 12 hours diving deep into the Galactic archive, searching for any reference to Earth or humans. She found nothing. No contact records, no exploration logs, no mention of the Sol system at all. It was as if humans had simply appeared out of nowhere. That's because we did, Zara said when Vexhari presented her findings. The human was eating what she'd called a protein bar from her shuttle's emergency supplies, chewing methodically. We only achieved faster-than-light travel 8 months ago. I'm part of the 5th exploratory mission. We had no idea there was a whole galactic civilization out here. 8 months. Lissa's tail lashed in agitation. Most species spend centuries developing interstellar capability. The psychological preparation alone requires generations. Yeah, we kinda speed-ran the whole thing. Zara took another bite. Once we figured out the Alcubierre principle, we went from theory to flight-ready in 16 months. We're good at engineering when we're motivated. Vexhari pulled up a holographic display. Commander, I've been researching deathworld classifications. These are planets where life exists but is considered too hostile for colonization. Earth would rank as a Class 12 death world, the highest classification. Most Class 12 worlds produce simple multicellular organisms at best. You're telling me Earth produced a sentient species? Lots of them actually, Zara corrected. We're just the one that developed technology. But there were others. Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo erectus. We interbred with some of them. Their DNA is still in us. You interbred with other species? Oren's leaves turned a shocked shade of purple. Other human species. Close enough genetically. Zara wadded up the wrapper from her protein bar. Look, I know we're unusual. But I promise we're not dangerous. Well, not to friends. We're pretty dangerous to enemies. That's kind of the point of evolving on a death world. Krelnax leaned forward. Commander, I must ask. Your species developed weapons, yes? Oh yeah. Lots of weapons. We're really, really good at weapons. What is your most powerful weapon? Zara's expression grew somber. We have devices that can split atoms and release enough energy to destroy entire cities. We call them nuclear weapons. We've had them for almost 200 years. We've used them exactly twice in war, and the devastation was so horrific we made international agreements never to use them again. The room fell silent. You have city-destroying weapons, Vexhari said slowly, and you choose not to use them? We saw what they did. We decided that some lines shouldn't be crossed even in war. Zara met Vexhari's compound eyes steadily. Humans are survivors, Doctor. But we're not monsters. We fight to protect, not to destroy indiscriminately. Moss Tender had been quietly running calculations. Dr. Thornweave, if I may. I've been analyzing Commander Castellanos' biochemistry against the Galactic database. Her adenosine triphosphate production, her cellular energy currency, operates at approximately 140% efficiency compared to the Galactic average. What does that mean? Zara asked. It means, Vexhari explained, that your cells are extraordinarily efficient at converting nutrients into usable energy. You produce more energy per unit of food than most species. Persistence hunting, Lissa breathed. You needed that efficiency to chase prey for hours. Days, sometimes, Zara confirmed. There are humans who run ultramarathons, that's over 100 kilometers, for fun. Our ancestors could track prey across an entire day, maintaining a steady jog while the prey had to stop and rest. Vexhari pulled up another display. Your brain structure is also unusual. The prefrontal cortex is overdeveloped compared to most sentient species. This region controls planning, decision-making, and impulse control. We needed to outsmart predators that were bigger, faster, and stronger than us, Zara said. We're not the toughest species, but we're creative. We make tools. We solve problems. We work together. Social species, Lissa noted. That's common among sentient beings. Yeah, but humans take it pretty far. We form bonds with other species. We domesticated wolves, major predators, and turned them into dogs, companion animals. We befriend cats, birds, even reptiles. We'll pack bond with just about anything. Krelnax made a grinding sound that might have been laughter. You befriend predators? We are predators, Zara reminded him. Takes one to know one, I guess. But yeah, humans are weird about bonding. We'll adopt baby animals from other species. We'll cry at sad stories about creatures we've never met. We feel empathy for things that aren't even alive. We name our ships, our vehicles, our weapons. Give them personalities. You named your shuttle, Vexhari realized suddenly. The transponder identified it as Wandering Spirit. Zara's smile was soft. She got me through a lot. Felt wrong not to give her a name. Oren had been reviewing his chemical analyses. Commander, I need to ask about your nutritional requirements. Your dietary needs are concerning. How so? You require proteins synthesized from other living organisms. You're an obligate consumer of biological matter. Well, yeah. We're omnivores. We eat plants and animals both. Is that unusual? Most sentient species have evolved beyond the need to consume other organisms, Oren explained gently. We synthesize nutrients or photosynthesize. The concept of killing and consuming other life forms is considered primitive. Zara's expression hardened slightly. We didn't have that luxury. Earth doesn't hand out free energy. Everything eats something else. It's not pretty, but it's honest. We honor what we consume. Many human cultures give thanks to the animals that feed them. Vexhari studied the human carefully. There was no shame in Zara's posture, no apology. She stated facts about her species' nature with the same calm she'd shown throughout the examination. Commander Castellanos, Vexhari said finally, I believe you when you say humans aren't monsters. But you must understand, from our perspective, you are apex predators who evolved on a world that should have killed you. You have reflexes faster than most combat species, pain tolerance that exceeds military augmentation, and the ability to consciously override your own biological imperatives. You're walking weapons who name your ships and cry at sad stories. Zara considered this. Yeah, I guess that's fair. We contain multitudes, as one of our poets said. We're capable of great violence and great kindness. Sometimes from the same person on the same day. That's just being human. She stood, stretching in a way that made several vertebrae crack audibly, a sound that made everyone in the room flinch. Look, Doc, I appreciate the concern. But here's the thing, humans have been the scariest thing on our planet for thousands of years. We've learned to be scared of ourselves, and that fear taught us responsibility. We made rules. Ethics. We developed philosophy and law to constrain our capacity for harm. We're not perfect, but we're trying. Vexhari felt something shift in her understanding. Perhaps the most terrifying thing about humans wasn't their physical capabilities. It was their awareness of those capabilities, coupled with their choice to restrain them. I believe, she said slowly, that I need to report your existence to the Galactic Medical Council. And probably the Defense Council as well. Because you think we're dangerous? No, Commander. Because I think you're extraordinary. And the galaxy needs to know you exist. The Council. The holographic chamber aboard the Meridian's Hope projected the shimmering forms of 15 council members representing the major powers of the Galactic Union. Vexhari stood at the center, her credentials displayed in glowing script above her head. Beside her, by special permission, stood Zara Castellanos, the first human to address the galactic community. Chancellor Thren Goldmantle, a distinguished Laminian whose bioluminescent skin pulsed with authority, spoke first. Dr. Thornweave, your report is alarming. You claim to have discovered a species from an uncatalogued death world with biological capabilities that exceed our most advanced military augmentation programs. That is correct, Chancellor, Vexhari replied, keeping her voice steady despite her racing heart. However, I must emphasize that while humans possess remarkable physical capabilities, they are not hostile. Commander Castellanos has been cooperative, patient, and transparent throughout our evaluation. Admiral Krez Steelclaw, a battle-scarred Krenin with cybernetic enhancements, leaned forward in his projection. Cooperative? Doctor, your report indicates this species evolved as persistence predators on a Class 12 death world. They have weapons capable of planetary devastation. You're asking us to believe they're peaceful? Zara cleared her throat. If I may, Admiral? All eyes turned to the human. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. I understand your concern, Zara began. From your perspective, humans must seem terrifying. We are predators. We did evolve on a harsh world. We do possess advanced weapons. But we also have art, music, literature, philosophy. We have laws and ethics. We formed a global government specifically to prevent wars like the ones that nearly destroyed us. We reached for the stars not to conquer but to explore, to learn, to find others like us in the universe. Others like you? Counselor Mira Dawnfeather, an avian seraphine, ruffled her iridescent feathers nervously. Commander, there are no others like you. Your species is unique in its lethality. With respect, Counselor, you're wrong. Zara's voice was firm but not aggressive. Every species here evolved to survive their environment. You developed intelligence, cooperation, technology. So did we. The difference is our environment demanded physical resilience in addition to mental acuity. That doesn't make us monsters. It makes us survivors who understand the value of cooperation. Vexhari pulled up a holographic display. Council members, I'd like to present our findings in context. Yes, humans have remarkable physical capabilities. But they also have sophisticated medical knowledge, advanced ethical frameworks, and a demonstrated history of self-regulation. They banned their most dangerous weapons through international cooperation. They developed complex systems of law and justice. They formed democratic institutions to balance power. They also, Admiral Steelclaw countered, have a documented history of warfare, colonization, and exploitation. Yes, Zara said simply. We do. We're not going to lie about our past. Humans have done terrible things to each other and to our planet. But we learned. We grew. We changed. Every mistake in our history taught us something about who we don't want to be. Chancellor Goldmantle's luminescence flickered thoughtfully. You acknowledge your species' capacity for violence? Of course. But capacity doesn't equal intent. Humans are tool users, Chancellor. Every tool can be a weapon or a helping hand. It's the choice that matters. Counselor Zen Shimmerstream, an aquatic Delphian whose form rippled like living water, spoke for the first time. I have reviewed Dr. Thornweave's complete data. The human ability to override biological imperatives is particularly noteworthy. Commander Castellanos, you can consciously slow your heart rate, reduce your metabolism, and suppress pain responses. To a degree, yes. Through meditation and training. This suggests an unusual integration between conscious and autonomic systems, Zen observed. It implies a level of self-control that most species cannot achieve without technological assistance. We call it mind-body connection, Zara explained. Athletes train it. Warriors train it. Medical practitioners use it to help patients manage pain and stress. It's not mystical, it's just understanding and working with our biology. Vexhari interjected, Counsel, I believe this self-control is actually evidence of human restraint. A species that can consciously modulate their physical responses is less likely to act on impulse or instinct. They literally have the ability to pause and think before acting. or to push their bodies beyond safe limits in combat, Admiral Steelclaw growled. Both are true, Zara acknowledged. Admiral, I'm not going to pretend humans aren't dangerous. In the right circumstances, we absolutely can be. But the same is true of any intelligent species with access to technology. You have starships, energy weapons, planetary infrastructure. Any of those could be weaponized. The question isn't capability, it's intent and restraint. Chancellor Goldmantle dimmed his luminescence, a sign of deep thought. Commander Castellanos, why did Earth send exploration missions? What does your species seek in the stars? Zara's expression softened. Knowledge, understanding, contact with other intelligent life. We've been alone in the universe as far as we knew. We've wondered for centuries if we were unique or if others were out there. We built radio telescopes, sent messages into space, searched for signals. We hoped we weren't alone. And now we've found you, and it's more than we ever dreamed. You sought us. Counselor Mira seemed surprised. Why? Because being alone is terrifying, Zara said simply. Because we wanted to learn from other perspectives. Because we hoped that other species had figured out things we're still struggling with. Because the universe is vast and wonderful and we wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Vexhari felt her respiratory spiracles flutter with emotion. She'd never heard a human express vulnerability before. It was strangely affecting. The human approach to first contact protocols is also noteworthy, Vexhari added. Commander Castellanos carries no weapons despite being on an exploration mission in unknown space. Her ship is lightly armed with defensive systems only. She immediately complied with our medical evaluation despite being in an unfamiliar situation with unknown species. I'm an explorer, not a soldier, Zara said. My mission was to make peaceful contact if we encountered other intelligent life. I'm trained in xenobiology, linguistics, and cultural anthropology. Earth sent scientists to the stars, not warriors. Counselor Zen's form rippled with what might have been approval. Chancellor, if I may offer perspective. I have studied the human concept of science fiction. There's speculative literature about space exploration. For centuries, humans imagined meeting alien species. Their stories explored scenarios of conflict and cooperation, conquest and friendship. They prepared themselves mentally and culturally for contact. This suggests a species that thinks ahead, that plans, that considers consequences. They also imagined scenarios where they were invaded and nearly destroyed, Admiral Steelclaw pointed out. Exactly, Zen replied. They imagined their own vulnerability. A species that assumes they might lose is less likely to initiate conflict out of arrogance. Chancellor Goldmantle's luminescence brightened to full intensity. This council will need time to deliberate. Commander Castellanos, Dr. Thornweave, you will remain aboard the Meridian's Hope pending our decision. We must determine how to proceed with this first contact situation. Chancellor, Zara said quickly, Earth doesn't know where I am. My last transmission was 3 weeks ago. If I don't report back, they'll send search missions. Probably armed ones because they'll assume I ran into trouble. I don't want my absence to create an incident. The Chancellor's light pulsed rapidly, surprise. You're concerned about our safety? I'm concerned about everyone's safety. Misunderstandings can escalate. I want first contact to go well, not turn into a tragedy because people got scared and made bad decisions. Vexhari watched the council members exchange glances. She could see the calculation happening. This predator species, this death world survivor, was advocating for caution and clear communication to prevent violence. We will expedite our deliberation, Chancellor Goldmantle said finally. Commander, you will be permitted to send a message to your homeworld explaining your situation and requesting patience. Dr. Thornweave, prepare a full medical and psychological profile. Council will reconvene in 6 standard hours. As the holograms faded, Vexhari turned to Zara. That went better than I feared. Zara smiled wryly. They're terrified of us. Can you blame them? No. I'd be terrified of us too, honestly. Humans are scary when you really think about it. Zara stretched, vertebrae popping. But being scary doesn't mean being evil. Sometimes the scariest thing you can do is choose to be kind when you have the power to be cruel. Vexhari clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. Commander, I believe you may have just articulated the most important principle for human integration into galactic society. What's that? That power without compassion is tyranny, but compassion without power is merely wishful thinking. Your species has both. The question is which one you'll lead with. Zara met her compound eyes steadily. We're going to try leading with compassion, Doctor. But we'll keep the power in reserve just in case we need it. And somehow Vexhari found that answer deeply reassuring. The demonstration. Admiral Steelclaw requested a demonstration. 3 hours after the council session, Zara found herself in the Meridian's Hope's main gymnasium, surrounded by skeptical military observers from a dozen species. The Admiral wanted proof that humans were as capable as Vexhari's report claimed. "This is unnecessary," Vexhari protested quietly to Krelnax. "We've documented everything." "The Admiral represents the Defense Council," the xenobiologist rumbled. "He needs to see for himself. Documentation can be fabricated." Zara stood in the center of the gymnasium, dressed in the exercise clothing salvaged from her shuttle. She declined the offer of protective gear. Around her, arranged in a loose circle, stood 5 of Admiral Steelclaw's elite guards, trained warriors from different species, each a specialist in close-quarters combat. "Commander Castellanos," Admiral Steelclaw's voice echoed through the space. "You claim humans evolved as persistence predators with enhanced physical capabilities. I'm asking you to demonstrate those capabilities against trained soldiers. Non-lethal engagement only. With respect, Admiral, I'm an explorer, not a soldier. I have basic combat training, but these are your elite guards." "Then it should be an adequate test," Steelclaw replied. "If an untrained human can hold their own against Galactic Special Forces, your species' capabilities are confirmed." Zara rolled her shoulders, loosening muscles. Vexhari noticed the way the human's eyes tracked each opponent, cataloging movements and positioning. "Predatory assessment. Rules?" Zara asked. "Restraint only. First to yield or be immobilized loses. Multiple opponents will engage simultaneously." Vexhari's spiracles fluttered in alarm. "Admiral, that's hardly fair." "Begin." 3 guards rushed Zara simultaneously. The human dropped low, sweeping the legs of the nearest attacker, a Krenan warrior with enhanced reflexes. He went down hard, and Zara was already moving, redirecting the momentum of the second guard, a Quillerii, using her own tendrils against her. The third guard, a Luminian, attempted to grapple from behind. What happened next took less than 4 seconds. Zara twisted in the Luminian's grip, slammed her head backward into what would have been his nose if he'd had one, and used the momentary stun to break the hold. She rolled forward, came up between the recovering Krenan and the fourth guard, a massive Etherean like Vexhari, and did something that made Vexhari's mandibles drop open. She jumped. Not a simple hop, but a leap that carried her 2 meters vertically, catching the overhead equipment rail and swinging herself up and over the Etherean's reaching arms. She landed behind him, swept his legs with a low kick that shouldn't have budged his mass, yet somehow did. The fifth guard, a Seraphine with flight capability, took to the air. Zara grabbed a training staff from the equipment rack and threw it with terrifying precision. The staff spun end over end and struck the Seraphine's wing joint, not hard enough to injure but sufficient to disrupt flight. The avian guard spiraled down, landing hard. 13 seconds. 5 elite guards neutralized in 13 seconds. The gymnasium was silent except for Zara's slightly elevated breathing and the groans of the guards picking themselves up. "Medical status," Vexhari called immediately, rushing forward with her scanner. "I'm fine," Zara said, hands raised peacefully. "I pulled every strike. Nobody should be seriously hurt. Right?" She looked at the guards with genuine concern. The Krenan warrior rubbed his head, mandibles clicking in what might have been respect. "Bruised pride mostly. That head strike, you knew exactly where to hit to stun without causing real damage. Humans learn anatomy in school," Zara explained. "We're good at understanding biology. Comes from being predators, you need to know where the vital spots are." Admiral Steelclaw descended from his observation platform. His expression was unreadable behind his battle scarring and cybernetic enhancements. "Commander Castellanos, you said you had basic combat training?" "Basic by human standards. 6 months of mixed martial arts instruction required for the Exploration Corps. I'm proficient but not expert. You defeated 5 elite guards in under 15 seconds. They weren't trying to kill me and I knew that. It changes the dynamic. Also, they've never fought a human before. I had the advantage of being an unknown quantity." Steelclaw's eyes narrowed. "What would an expert human combatant be capable of?" Zara's expression grew serious. "Admiral, I'm going to be honest with you. An expert human fighter, military special forces, combat veterans, they're terrifying even to other humans. Enhanced reflexes, pattern recognition that borders on precognitive, pain tolerance that lets them fight through injuries that would incapacitate most beings. And that's before technological augmentation. You augment your soldiers? Some of them. Prosthetics for injured veterans sometimes include enhanced capabilities. But most human soldiers don't need augmentation. Proper training and experience are usually sufficient. Vexhari was scanning the guards. All were uninjured save for minor bruising. Admiral, I must note that Commander Castellanos exercised extraordinary restraint. Any of those strikes could have been lethal if delivered with full force. I noticed, Steelclaw said quietly. He turned to Zara. Commander, show me your hand. Zara extended her right hand. Steelclaw examined it closely, the relatively small size, the delicate-looking fingers, the soft skin. This hand, he said slowly, could crush my trachea, snap my neck, rupture vital organs. Yet you used it to gently redirect my soldiers. Yes, sir. Why? Because they weren't my enemies. They were testing me, not trying to kill me. I responded appropriately to the threat level. Steelclaw released her hand. You assess threat constantly? Every predator does. It's automatic. I evaluate every person I meet, friend, neutral, potential threat. I calculate exit routes from every room. I note weapons, cover, advantageous positioning. It's not paranoia, it's survival instinct honed over millennia. And you can override those instincts? When necessary. That's what separates humans from animals, Admiral. We can choose to act against our instincts when our ethics demand it. Lissa had been observing from the sidelines. Now she spoke up, her feline ears perked forward. Admiral, if I may. I've been monitoring Commander Castellanos' stress responses throughout this demonstration. Her cortisol levels elevated minimally. Her heart rate increased only moderately. She was calm, controlled, almost relaxed during combat. Combat sports are common on Earth, Zara explained. Martial arts, boxing, wrestling. We train for controlled aggression from childhood. It's how we channel our violent instincts into productive outlets. You teach your children to fight? A counselor in the observation room sounded horrified. We teach our children to defend themselves and others. To channel aggression appropriately. To understand their own capacity for violence so they can control it. An untrained human is dangerous. A trained human who understands the consequences of violence is a responsible citizen. Oren Skybloom descended from the observation area, his leaves vibrating with excitement. Commander, during the engagement you threw that staff with remarkable accuracy. How did you calculate the trajectory? I didn't calculate it. I felt it. Humans are good at ballistic estimation. We've been throwing things since before we were human. Spears, rocks, balls. Our brains are wired for it. Instinctive physics computation, Krelnax mused. Fascinating. Admiral Steelclaw helped one of his guards to his feet. Commander Castellanos, I came here today expecting to confirm my fears about human lethality. Instead, I find myself concerned about something else entirely. What's that, Admiral? You're more dangerous than I feared but also more controlled. That combination is unusual. Most species that can cause such harm lack the restraint to avoid doing so. Your species possesses both capability and restraint in equal measure. That's the whole point of human civilization, Admiral. We're dangerous, so we built systems to manage that danger. Laws, ethics, social contracts. We police ourselves because we know what we're capable of. Steelclaw was quiet for a long moment. Then he touched his comm unit. Chancellor Goldmantle, this is Admiral Steelclaw. I'm revising my initial assessment. The humans are indeed dangerous, perhaps more than we realized. But they're also demonstrably capable of restraint and ethical consideration. I'm recommending cautious engagement rather than defensive isolation. Through the comm, Chancellor Goldmantle's voice was thoughtful. The Council will consider your recommendation, Admiral. Commander Castellanos, your demonstration was enlightening. Return to your quarters and prepare for our decision. As the gymnasium cleared, Vexhari approached Zara. Commander, you held back significantly, didn't you? Zara's smile was rueful. Yeah. I didn't want to scare them more than necessary. Turns out that was still pretty scary. You're scared of yourself, Vexhari realized suddenly. You know what you're capable of and it frightens you. Every human with combat training feels that way, Zara said quietly. We're taught to respect our own capacity for harm. Fear of our own power is healthy, it keeps us from abusing it. Vexhari clicked her mandibles softly. Commander, I believe that fear might be the most human thing about you. And perhaps the most hopeful thing for human-galactic relations. Why? Because a species that fears its own capacity for harm will work harder to prevent it. You don't need us to control you. You control yourselves. Zara looked at her hands, flexing her fingers. We tried, Doctor. We don't always succeed. But we try. And in that moment, Vexhari understood that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their physical capabilities or mental acuity. It was their awareness of their own flaws, coupled with their determination to overcome them. The decision. The council reconvened in full holographic assembly. This time, additional members had joined, representatives from the Scientific Directorate, the Cultural Exchange Bureau, and the Ethical Standards Committee. The chamber hummed with anticipatory energy. Chancellor Goldmantle's luminescence was set to formal brightness. We have reviewed all data, testimony, and demonstrations regarding the human species. This council must now determine the appropriate classification and interaction protocol for Earth and its inhabitants. Vexhari stood beside Zara, her multiple hands clasped in a gesture of professional composure that belied her inner anxiety. The decision made here would shape the future of human-galactic relations. Counselor Mira Dawnfeather spoke first. The Cultural Exchange Bureau has reviewed human creative output, their art, literature, music, and philosophical works that Commander Castellanos provided from her ship's database. The findings are remarkable. Humans have produced sophisticated artistic and intellectual traditions spanning thousands of years. They've grappled with complex ethical questions about violence, justice, community, and individual rights. Their cultural evolution parallels their technological development. They've also, Admiral Steelclaw interjected, produced extensive literature and media about warfare, conflict, and destruction. Their entertainment frequently glorifies violence. It also frequently condemns it, Zara countered. We tell stories about war to understand it, to process our trauma, to warn against its horrors. Our most powerful war stories are anti-war stories. We remember the cost of violence because we refuse to forget what we're capable of. Counselor Zen Shimmerstream rippled thoughtfully. The Scientific Directorate has a proposal. Rather than classify humans as a threat or integrate them immediately into galactic society, we recommend a phased approach. Stage 1, limited scientific and cultural exchange. Stage 2, economic and technological cooperation. Stage 3, full political integration. Each stage would include assessment periods. That could take decades, Zara said. It took most species centuries, Zen replied gently. We're proposing an accelerated timeline because your technological development suggests you're capable of handling rapid advancement. But integration requires mutual understanding, not just capability. Dr. Krelnax projected a holographic display. I've analyzed Commander Castellanos' biology in context of galactic medicine. Humans could revolutionize our understanding of cellular regeneration, immune system optimization, and adaptive physiology. But more importantly, human medical knowledge could complement ours. They've developed sophisticated treatments for their harsh biology, cancer treatments, regenerative medicine, prosthetics integration. These could benefit many species. You're suggesting humans have something to teach us? A counselor from the Scientific Directorate sounded surprised. Emphatically yes, Krelnax rumbled. Different environments produce different solutions. Human medicine evolved to combat aggressive pathogens, rapid mutations, and high metabolic stress. Those insights could save lives across the galaxy. Lissa Moon Whisper added her perspective. From a psychological standpoint, humans demonstrate remarkable emotional resilience. They've developed extensive mental health frameworks to address trauma, stress, and psychological injury. Given that they evolved in an environment that was constantly traumatic, this makes sense. But their approaches to healing psychological wounds could benefit species dealing with combat stress, disaster trauma, or social isolation. Vexhari felt a surge of pride for her team. They weren't just seeing humans as threats or curiosities, they were recognizing the potential for mutual benefit. Chancellor Goldmantle dimmed his luminescence, signaling a shift to serious deliberation. Commander Castellanos, this council must ask difficult questions. If we permit contact between Earth and the galactic community, what safeguards can your species offer against potential aggression? Zara took a deep breath. Chancellor, I can't guarantee anything. I'm one person, not Earth's government. But I can tell you this. Humans have spent the last 100 years building international cooperation specifically because we learned the cost of conflict. We created the United Nations, the International Criminal Court, treaties banning weapons of mass destruction. We've been working toward global unity so we could speak with one voice when we reached the stars. Yet you still have conflicts, Admiral Steelclaw noted. Yes, we're not perfect. We still have disputes, inequality, injustice. But we're working on it. Every generation tries to do better than the last. That's the human story. We make mistakes, we learn, we improve. It's slow and frustrating and sometimes we backslide, but the general trajectory is toward greater cooperation and understanding. Oren Skybloom rustled his leaves. Commander, what does Earth want from the galaxy? Knowledge. Trade. Friendship. Zara's voice was sincere. We want to learn from your experiences. We want to share what we've discovered. We want to be part of the galactic community, not conquerors of it. We've been alone in the universe for so long, we just want to not be alone anymore. Vexhari stepped forward. Chancellor, members of the Council, I've spent more time with Commander Castellanos than anyone. I've observed her responses to stress, pain, uncertainty, and fear. I've watched her exercise restraint when she could have used force. I've seen her show compassion for her opponents and concern for our safety. She is, in every meaningful way, a person. Just a person from a harsh world who wants the same things most people want. Safety, connection, understanding, purpose. Dr. Thornweave, Chancellor Goldmantle's voice was gentle, you've become emotionally invested in this outcome. Yes, Chancellor, I have. Because I've discovered that sometimes the scariest beings in the universe are the ones most worth knowing. Humans are dangerous, but they're also brave, curious, creative, and kind. They contain multitudes, as they say. And I believe the galaxy will be richer for knowing them. The council chamber fell silent. Vexhari could feel her hearts racing, all three of them pounding in different rhythms. Finally, Chancellor Goldmantle spoke. This council recognizes the unique nature of the human species. We acknowledge both their capabilities and their demonstrated restraint. Therefore, we propose the following resolution. First, Earth will be designated a developing contact civilization, eligible for phased integration into galactic society. Second, a formal diplomatic embassy will be established on Earth with scientific and cultural exchange personnel. Third, human individuals may travel within designated galactic zones with proper documentation and cultural training. Fourth, Earth will be invited to send representatives to the Galactic Council as observers initially, with full membership possible after a review period. Fifth, Dr. Vexhari Thornweave will be appointed as Chief Medical Liaison for Human Galactic Integration, responsible for advising on human biological and psychological considerations. Vexhari's mandibles dropped open. Chancellor, You understand humans better than anyone in the galaxy, Doctor. You're the logical choice. Zara was smiling broadly, showing all her teeth, an expression that had initially seemed threatening to Vexhari but which she now recognized as genuine joy. Chancellor, on behalf of Earth, I accept these terms. I can't wait to bring this news home. There is one final condition, Admiral Steelclaw added. Human military capabilities must be registered with the Defense Council. Not to restrict them, but to ensure we understand the parameters of human warfare should conflict ever arise. That's fair, Zara agreed. Transparency goes both ways. We'll want to understand galactic defense capabilities too. Of course. Steelclaw's expression might have been a smile behind his cybernetic modifications. Commander, I look forward to meeting more of your species. Particularly your warriors. I suspect they'll have much to teach our strategists about persistence and resilience. As the council session concluded and the holograms faded, Vexhari turned to Zara. You did it? First contact is a success. Zara laughed, that bright human sound. We did it together, Doc. I couldn't have gotten here without you believing in me despite having every reason to be terrified. Oh, I'm still terrified, Vexhari admitted. Humans are terrifying. But I'm also excited, curious, and honored to be part of this moment. Welcome to the human experience, Zara said warmly. Being multiple contradictory things all at once. You're getting the hang of it. Moss Tender appeared in the doorway, his tendrils waving excitedly. Dr. Thornweave, I've been analyzing the council's decision. Do you realize what this means? We're going to have human medical students. Human research partnerships. Human approaches to trauma treatment. The possibilities are endless. Krelnax lumbered in behind him. I've already drafted a proposal for a joint xenobiology expedition to Earth. I want to see this death world that produced such remarkable beings. Bring protective gear, Zara advised. Earth is beautiful but unforgiving. Though honestly, most of it is safe if you know what to avoid. Don't pet the wildlife, don't eat unknown plants, and stay away from Australia. Why Australia? Lissa asked, entering with Oren. Everything there wants to kill you. Even the plants. Especially the plants. Vexhari clicked her mandibles and what she'd learned was amusement. Commander, I believe you just described your entire planet. Yeah, Zara agreed cheerfully. But Australia takes it to another level. It's like Earth's death world had a death world. As laughter filled the medical bay, human laughter mixed with the various sounds of alien amusement, Vexhari realized that this was the beginning of something extraordinary. Humans weren't just a species to be documented and classified. They were partners, teachers, friends. And maybe, just maybe, the galaxy needed what humans offered. A reminder that survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about being resilient, adaptable, and willing to choose compassion even when violence would be easier. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to be human. And Vexhari couldn't wait to see what happened next. The homecoming. 3 weeks later, Zara Castellanos stood on the bridge of the Meridian's Hope, staring at the blue-green marble suspended in black space ahead. Oh. She'd been gone for 54 days and for a moment, the sight stole her breath. Beside her, Vexhari adjusted the ship's sensors with practiced efficiency. Your planet is remarkably beautiful. The color variation, the cloud patterns, the visible water coverage. Wait until you see it up close, Zara said softly. Pictures don't do it justice. The Meridian's Hope had volunteered to escort Zara home and serve as the first official galactic vessel to enter Earth's space. Aboard were Vexhari's team plus diplomatic representatives from 12 species, carefully selected for their calm demeanors and adaptability. No one wanted first contact to go wrong because someone panicked. Commander, the communications officer called out, a Luminian named Tau Brightsong. We're receiving multiple hails from Earth orbital stations. They're requesting identification and I think they're surprised. Put me through, Zara said. She activated her comm badge. This is Commander Zara Castellanos of the Earth Exploration Corps, vessel Wandering Spirit, currently aboard the hospital ship Meridian's Hope. Requesting permission to approach Earth with diplomatic escort. I repeat, diplomatic escort. We have first contact. The silence stretched for exactly 7 seconds. Then, Commander Castellanos, this is Earth Traffic Control. Please confirm. You said diplomatic escort? As in aliens? Affirmative, Control. I made contact with the Galactic Union. They're friendly. They're curious. And they're very excited to meet you all. Stand by, Commander. We're going to need to escalate this. Please maintain current position. Over the next 2 hours, Zara watched as Earth's response unfolded in real time. Military vessels took up cautious positions around the Meridian's Hope. Civilian traffic was redirected. Every major government and news organization scrambled to send representatives to the hastily organized reception. They're frightened, Lissa observed, her tail twitching as she monitored the increased military presence. They're cautious, Zara corrected. Humanity's been imagining first contact for centuries. We've hoped for friendly aliens and feared hostile ones in equal measure. Right now they don't know which you are. What do you recommend? Chancellor Goldmantle asked. He'd insisted on being present for this historic moment, his holographic form projected onto the bridge. Patience. Transparency. Let them set the pace. This is humanity's first contact too, we're just as scared as you are. Admiral Steelclaw, who'd also joined the expedition, rumbled his approval. Wise counsel. We will follow Earth's lead. Finally, clearance came through. The Meridian's Hope was granted permission to dock at the International Space Station, which had been hastily cleared of all but essential personnel. A diplomatic shuttle would ferry representatives planetside to United Nations headquarters in Geneva. As they approached the station, Vexhari marveled at the structure. It's so small compared to our orbital facilities. So fragile looking. We built it with our own hands, Zara said proudly. Every component launched from Earth's surface, assembled in orbit by astronauts in spacesuits. It's not grand by your standards, but it's ours. The docking procedure was tense but successful. When the airlock opened, Zara stepped through first, followed by Vexhari, then the diplomatic delegation. Captain Sarah Chin of the United Earth Space Force stood waiting, flanked by a security detail. Her eyes widened as she took in the alien visitors. Vexhari's 6 limbs and compound eyes, Krelnax's massive rocky form, Lissa's feline features, Oren's plant-like structure. Commander Castellanos, Captain Chen's voice was steady despite the historic moment. Welcome home. And, welcome to Earth, honored guests. Vexhari stepped forward, speaking through the translation device they'd prepared. On behalf of the Galactic Union, I greet you, Captain Chin. I am Dr. Vexhari Thornweave, Chief Medical Officer and Medical Liaison for Human Galactic Integration. We come in peace and friendship. The formal words seemed to break the tension. Captain Chin smiled, a human expression that Vexhari now understood meant genuine warmth. Dr. Thornweave, it's an honor. We have so many questions. As do we, Vexhari replied. Your species has fascinated us. We're eager to learn more about Earth and its people. The diplomatic reception on Earth was carefully orchestrated chaos. World leaders, scientists, journalists, and curious citizens all wanted glimpses of the alien visitors. The Galactic delegation handled it with remarkable patience, answering questions, demonstrating their technology, and expressing genuine interest in human culture. In a private moment during the reception, UN Secretary-General Amara Okonkwo pulled Zara aside. Commander, I've read your reports. These beings are medically superior to us in many ways, technologically centuries ahead, and they outnumber humanity by millions to one. Yet you're reporting they were frightened of us. Yes, ma'am. We're an anomaly to them. We evolved capabilities that most species lack: high pain tolerance, rapid healing, persistence endurance, aggressive immune systems. We come from what they classify as a Class 12 death world. To them, we're walking impossibilities. Secretary-General Okonkwo absorbed this. And how did you convince them we're not a threat? By being honest about what we are: dangerous but controlled, capable but ethical. We didn't hide our capacity for violence. We demonstrated our commitment to restraint. I think that's what scared them most, that we know what we're capable of and choose to limit ourselves anyway. That's very human, the Secretary-General said thoughtfully. We've always been our own greatest threat and our own best hope. The formal address to the United Nations General Assembly was broadcast globally. Vexhari stood at the podium, her translator rendering her words into every human language simultaneously. People of Earth, she began, I stand before you as a representative of the Galactic Union, but also as someone who has come to admire humanity deeply. When I first encountered Commander Castellanos, I was terrified. Her vital signs were impossible. Her biology defied everything I understood about life. She was, by every measure I knew, a walking contradiction. Vexhari paused, her mandibles clicking softly. But as I came to know her, to understand humans, I realized that your impossibility is your greatest gift. You survived where most life would perish. You thrived in conditions that would break most species. You developed not just physical resilience but mental fortitude, emotional depth, and ethical frameworks to guide your tremendous capabilities. She gestured to the assembly of humans listening with rapt attention. You are a young species by galactic standards. You've just discovered faster-than-light travel. You're taking your first steps into a universe far more populated than you imagined. But you're not entering as conquerors or victims. You're entering as partners, as equals, as beings who have something unique to offer the galactic community. What you offer, Vexhari continued, her voice gaining strength, is hope. Hope that life can flourish even in the harshest conditions. Hope that beings can be both powerful and peaceful. Hope that diversity, whether biological, cultural, or philosophical, strengthens rather than divides. You've shown us that the most important evolution isn't physical or technological. It's ethical. It's choosing again and again to be better than your worst impulses. The assembly hall was silent. Then slowly applause began. It grew, swelling to a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, in a quiet observation room overlooking Earth, Zara found Vexhari staring at the planet below. It's strange, the doctor said. From space, Earth looks so peaceful. You can't see the harsh conditions, the predators, the dangers. It's just beautiful. That's Earth for you, Zara agreed. Beautiful and deadly in equal measure. Like humans, I guess. Commander, Zara, I want to thank you. For what? For teaching me that impossible doesn't mean wrong. For showing me that beings can be greater than the sum of their biology. For proving that first contact can be the beginning of friendship rather than the start of fear. Zara smiled. Doc, you taught me something too. You looked at a species that should have terrified you and chose to see the potential for good. That takes courage. Maybe humans aren't the only impossible ones. Vexhari clicked her mandibles in the pattern Zara now recognized as laughter. Perhaps we're all impossible in our own ways. The universe is stranger and more wonderful than any of us imagined. Below them, Earth turned slowly, its blue oceans catching the sunlight. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were learning they weren't alone in the universe. They were part of something bigger, stranger, and more amazing than they'd dreamed. And aboard the space station, a human and an alien stood together, watching the dawn of a new era. 6 months later, Dr. Vexhari Thornweave published her comprehensive study, Impossible Biology: Understanding Human Resilience and Its Implications for Galactic Medicine. It became required reading in medical schools across the galaxy. Admiral Steelclaw initiated a military exchange program, where human and alien strategists learned from each other's approaches to conflict resolution and defense. Counselor Zen Shimmerstream established the Institute for Comparative Consciousness, studying how different environments shaped intelligence across species. And Commander Zara Castellanos became Ambassador Zara Castellanos, humanity's first official representative to the Galactic Union. But more than policies and programs, something fundamental had shifted. The galaxy had learned that life finds a way, even in impossible conditions. That strength tempered with compassion is more powerful than either alone. That diversity isn't something to fear but to celebrate. And humanity learned they weren't alone. They never had been. They were part of a vast, ancient community of beings who had been waiting, hoping, wondering if anyone else was out there looking back at the stars. The impossible had become possible. The alien had become familiar. And the universe had become infinitely more interesting. In the medical bay of the Meridian's Hope, Vexhari kept a small hologram on her desk, Zara Castellanos smiling that fierce, hopeful human smile. Beneath it a plaque read, "To Dr. Thornweave, who screamed, 'Impossible,' and then made the impossible happen. With gratitude and friendship. Zara." Every time Vexhari looked at it, her mandibles clicked with amusement. Humans, she thought. Absolutely impossible. Absolutely wonderful. And absolutely, undeniably human.